Hey guys,
Hi, teacher.
my name's Michaela. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and today we're talking about stress. Daniel, how are you today?
I'm fine. I'm very peaceful. I don't stress
Really?
yearly.
All right, and what is stress?
It's something you are you are concerned about something.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of something in your mind, right?
Yes. When
Mm-hmm.
you have an exam tomorrow, when you are when you are studying,
Mm-hmm. Like a
or you have
preoccupation of your mind.
yes,
Exactly.
or
And
your own nature.
of your own nature?
Yes, people is more have more stress than others because
That's a good point.
your personality maybe.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you're more stressed than other people?
No,
No, you're less
no.
stressed?
Yes,
All right. That's good to hear. Adela, what do you think stress is?
I think it's a feeling about um, people is very upset about the work, the family. It's a little anxious. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's a, a little different feelings. It depends to the person, I think.
Mm-hmm. You're right. It has a lot to do with emotion, but it's different for everyone. All right. And Shafar, welcome to class.
Hi teacher, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, I think. Okay, what's our topic today? Stress.
So, what do you think stress is, Shafar? How would you describe it?
uh, I don't think so. I know much about stress. Maybe when you know, when you're feeling bad, I think that's kind of stress.
Yeah, it's usually not a good feeling, huh?
When I heard ambulance, we just heard, I feel so stressed and afraid.
Yeah, those noises tend to cause like a tightening, right?
Yeah.
It's a
I'm afraid
stressful
of.
sound. Yeah. Thank you, Shafar. Carolina, welcome to class.
Hi, thank you.
And Carolina, what do you think stress is?
Stress is when you are not happy because you have many worries.
Mm-hmm.
Is that?
Definitely. All right. So I put the notes in the chat box for you guys. Today we're talking about stress. And to warm up, we already answered one of our discussion questions. And then once we're done with the warm up, we'll move on to our article today. It's a short article about stress. So before we do that, we have one more question. What causes you the most stress? So in your life, what makes you experience stress? Adela, go first for us. Tell us what specifically causes you stress.
Uh, when I have a deadline to finish a project or to finish. Um, uh, oh, it's very noise. Sorry, it's not possible.
Okay, I'll come back to you then.
Uh, Very noise.
Yeah,
I
I'll come
think it's
back. Oh, sorry. Huh? Oh,
From
not
Carolina.
you. Sorry. Sorry, Adele. I thought it was you. Adele, I didn't mean to mute you. I thought it was noise in your background. So, Adela, finish
No,
answering for
no,
us.
it's okay. For me, the stress is when I have to finish. I have a deadline to finish a project. This is a project with the other teacher. It's a team. It's a very stressful moment because it's angry. Is for me the worst.
Definitely. I agree. Deadlines are really stressful. All right. And Carolina, what causes you the most stress?
Okay, one thing that causes me stress is the traffic here in Bogota. It's very awful. You can spend, I don't know, 1 hour until your house,
Oh
and
my
it's a
God.
waste of time. Yeah, and the people is very aggressive and it's awful.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
When I'm sitting in traffic, I'm always thinking, man, I could be doing so much with this time, and I'm just sitting here.
yeah, it's right.
Very frustrating.
Yes.
Daniel, what causes you the most stress?
Illness. Illness
Huh?
when illness when my child get injured and I had to take to the hospital, and it's a stress situation for me. And
Mm-hmm.
then
Yeah.
when I have an argue with someone for a crash, um, for a accident in the car, or
Definitely
maybe
very
or
stressful.
maybe when someone is going for a walk with her dog, and then his dog make his I don't know what to say, his peace. Another big things, and this time I used to argue because I don't like at all. And
Conflict. That's
yeah, conflict. Yeah,
stressful.
yes.
All right. So peeing dogs.
Being dogs.
That's so funny. Thanks, Daniel.
You're welcome.
Abby, welcome to class.
Hello, teacher. How are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good to have you with us today. Tell us what stresses you out the most.
Um, the deadlines of the projects and the exams. These two things are the most, things that stress me out.
How do they make you feel?
I feel very stressful. I cannot sleep well and I cannot eat well, and my face become yellow. And if everyone can recognize, my face that I'm suffering some deadlines or having exams. Some people don't care. I usually wanted to be like them, but I'm not, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wish I could handle a lot of stress, but I'm
Yeah,
not good with stress.
yeah, me neither.
Thanks, Abby.
I have a
Shafar?
question, teacher.
Yeah, go ahead.
What is the word to say you have under control your stress? Manage.
Manage would be a good one, or
Okay.
handle would be another. You could say to manage stress
Uh-huh.
or handle stress.
Handle. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
No problem. Good question. And Shafar, tell us what stresses you out the most.
In my opinion, wow, berhasil loh. I think most the most stress out for me is the university. I just doing maybe 3 or 5 application to enter the university, but there's no it didn't work. I mean, maybe I have to pay more to enter the university. Yes, because I think I just think that I feeling that I doing a good preparation, but I think it's not enough.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
sometimes
stressed me out.
preparation can avoid stress.
Yeah. Oh yes, but it didn't work. I think I just doing a big preparation, but it won't because I just entered the Bosch University um, uh, uh, like the international university and the national university like in my country. But I think it has the um, specific and different recruitment like that. Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
stressed me out.
Yeah, applications are hard. All right, so let's move over to our document. I'll screen share for anybody who needs it, and you should all have access to it in the chat boxes. We're going to read a short article on stress in the US. So it's called Stressed Out, Americans Tell Us About Stress in Their Lives. And this comes from an article that I will also put in the chat box for you. I just moved it over to a document because the format of the article is a little bit messy, I think. So I thought it was more clear to read it from the document, but you're welcome to have the article online as well. Yay, one more student. Aka, welcome to class.
Yes, hello. How are you?
Hey, Aka. Good. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you.
So tell us, what stresses you out the most?
Stress out. If I cannot sleep well, long time, proper time, it's stressful.
Definitely. And what keeps you from sleeping?
Sometimes noise. Or I don't how can I, some people can sleep very quickly, but I need a time to sleep. Take some time to sleep. So usually I'm listening to the ambient music for sleeping.
Very good idea.
Yeah, to calm myself down.
All right, thanks, Aka. And Adela, will you read these first 2 very short paragraphs for us?
Okay. Everyone seems to talk about feeling stressed out. But what is the reality of the stress in America these days? In National Public Radio, NPR, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and the Harvard School of Public Health conducted a nationwide poll in March and early April to find out.
Thank you very much. So NPR is the news place where I got this document. And one comment on pronunciation. This word here is reality. It changes the pronunciation because when we say real, we've just got one vowel sound, and really is, again, just one vowel sound. But when we change it to this, we pronounce both the E and the A, so it becomes reality.
Reality.
Exactly. Okay. And the next short paragraph, Aka, go ahead and read it for us.
Okay, our questions zeroed in on the effect of stress in America's lives. We asked about people's personal experiences with stress in preceding months after and year. We also asked about how they perceived the effect of stress, how they cope with stress, and their attitude about it.
Thank you very much. All right. So how do you cope with stress? It's something that makes me very curious because I find when I'm stressed out, I hardly know what to do. So let's get some suggestions from you guys. How do you cope with stress? Harry, welcome to class.
Hello, good evening. Yes, good afternoon here from Germany.
Good to have you with us today, Harry. So tell us, how do you cope with stress?
Oh, stress. I don't have stress anymore.
Wow. That sounds almost impossible. Tell us how.
Because the first question is I have to analyze or ask you what is stress? Because when you know what stress is, you say, oh, stress, I don't want stress again. Because first I have to go, what stress? So I ask you a question, what do you think what stress is?
Very interesting question. For me, I would say stress is when I feel pressure, like I can't do what I'm supposed to do. Usually that would mean an overly tight schedule or something.
Yes, but these are the symptoms.
I see. So I should, I guess stress really could be taken out if you could just kind of take a breath and breathe and forget, then you wouldn't really have to experience stress. So, Harry, were you always like this, or did you used to stress out and then you changed?
Yes, because when you have stress and you don't trade it, or you don't find a solution, it goes to anxiety because you become it causes also panic attacks. When you can't handle stress, it goes into panic attacks. And I noticed it, and yes, and then I said, oh my goodness, there is something wrong. And yes, and I'm making a training about it. That's why I know much about this case.
Excellent.
Stress, because and when I say, oh, stress, it has to do with the tenses. It has to do with the past, because your experience which you had in the past, and
wow.
you think it can happen again in the future.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you're a stress expert.
Yes, right now I'm really a stress expert because I know what it can goes really. It can goes like you can't go out one step outside your house because when you can't handle it, oh, it can really stops you from life. Really, it can really stops you from life. And nowadays, it's very common that people have stress and they think they can do nothing about it. They say always, oh, another person is guilty for this. My boss is guilty for it. But I say, no, it's your term. You have to change it, not the other. You can't change the world. You have to learn how you see the world.
Wise words, Harry. Thank you. And congratulations on the World Cup, too. Daniel reminded me.
Thank you.
All right, Shafar. So what do you think about what Harry said? How stress is really only your own responsibility and nobody else's?
Yeah, I think I agree with Harry, because we can't handle stress. I mean, stress in my own opinion or definition, the way we think too much maybe, and we the way we think too much about the specific problem. So when we stress out, maybe we can turn out our point of view. So maybe we are going to doing a fun event, so we can back to our major problem. I think like that. It's yeah, it is our responsibility.
All right. Thanks, Jafar.
Yes.
Abby,
Yeah.
do you agree with them? They say stress is your responsibility.
Actually, stress, I think it is out of control. So whenever you care about something, you must have some kind of stress. Yeah, so what I do to, to control my stress and to lower my stress, I sometimes read Quran, which is the holy book, and it makes me really relaxed, and it decreases the stress with me. And sometimes I try to read positive quotes from famous people. I like to read quotes from, for example, Albert Einstein and Steve Jobs. They have very positive quotes, and so these quotes, makes me feel more positive. And also, I try to, for example, to call my friends, especially if we're working on a project and I feel like it is very hard and I cannot finish it. We usually call each other and say, something positive. It is easy. I finished this, and don't, you're gonna finish it. So when I talk with my friends, I feel, more confident and can continue my work. Yeah.
All right, quotes and talking with friends, those are good ways to de-stress a little and try to avoid feeling that emotion.
Yeah. Yes.
Daniel, how about you? What do you do if you start to feel stressed? Do you have any ways to avoid that?
Not some kind of stress, maybe yes, but another kind of stress for me, I can't I can't them under control because it could be feelings for me. If, for example, if I have an exam tomorrow, maybe I could control this stress, maybe taking having a tea, watching TV. But if I stress because of my children or something, I can't.
That's a good point. You mentioned that if you have to take your child to the hospital, it's pretty difficult to remain calm when you're doing that. All right. Carolina, what do you think about all this? Do you have any ways to de-stress, or do you think, like Harry, stress is avoidable in most situations?
Okay, I think that you have not get stressed about things like work, because the work is a little part of your life. And really, I don't have big problems, and I'm not a stressed person. But when I am stressed, I take yoga classes, and I don't know, you have to calm and think that the things can improve, and no more.
All right, yeah. Remaining calm, thinking about how things will get better in the future. Those are good ways to avoid stress. All right, Aka, can you add anything to our de-stress list or make a comment on what Harry said about stress being avoidable?
Yeah, some stress is avoidable, but some stress is not avoidable. Like, for example, the abusing kids, kids for abuse.
Aka, we're getting a lot of echo from your
I think
audio.
Harry.
Who is it?
Harry.
Ah, okay. Harry, I'm going to mute you really quick while Aka responds. Yeah, it
Hello?
seems like it was, yeah, it seems like
Yes.
it was Harry's audio. Okay, go ahead, Aka.
So in such situation, if it is hard to say, it's your responsibility. But what Harry says is it's widely used as a kind of cognitive therapy. Kind of even if we have a stress, how to deal with that stress properly, we can change the situation. Or how do I feel the stress? That's good work. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Aka. And Adela. Be the last one to give us comments or de-stress methods. Are you there, Adela? You're muted.
Yes, I think stress is a biological mechanism to defend the body about the aggressions, about or to survive. But nowadays the stress is a pathology because it's another type of stress. I think is very problematic because there are a lot of disease consequence to the situation, the stress on the time.
Kind of an expert, aren't you? Don't you work in the biological field?
No, I think it's a biological reaction about a situation very complicated. The organism need to have alert, to have for reaction from this situation. But it's not nowadays. Nowadays has changed because the work, the life is very complicated, and the stress situation are all day, every day. This is a situation in the time can be to change to have people disease, for example, decrease the sorry, I don't know, the your body is more propense to the disease. It's more easy to have different disease because you have a debility, or it's not. I don't. The words I don't know in English. Sorry.
That's okay. Great answer, though. That's some interesting insight. And before we move on just to the other few paragraphs, we have a phrase that I put in bold in the third paragraph there, zeroed in on. Would anyone like to give us a definition for that phrase? It's a very useful phrase. Let's see. Daniel, do you have any idea?
No.
To insist.
To insist?
Focus.
Yeah. It's a little bit like insist, and focus is, I think, is a really good synonym for this phrase. So it says, our questions zeroed in on the effect of stress in American lives. So it focused in on the effect of stress. And it's a pretty common phrase. And you guys can always look, even if you don't know these expressions, you can look at the context here to maybe give you a good clue. Excellent. Okay, any other questions from these paragraphs before we move on? Okay, then we'll go on to the next section. who is stressed. And the first two short paragraphs here will be for Catalina, did you read yet?
No.
All right. Will you read those for us?
Okay. Who's stressed? About half of the people surveyed, 49% said that they'd had a major stressful event or experience in the past year. Health-related problems were the most common source of stress. A look at the most recent month found that about a quarter, or 26% of people surveyed, said they'd had a great deal of stress then.
Thank you very much. And Daniel, will you read the last paragraph in who's stressed and the first paragraph in what's stressing people out?
Yes. Some groups among the respondents stood out. People in poor health and those who are disabled were the most likely to have experienced a lot of stress in the preceding months. What's stressing people out? Overall, the factors that affected people the most included too many responsibilities, financial troubles, and work problems. But personal health problems and health problems in the family were also commonly cited.
Thank you very much. Yeah. What is that word, cited?
We said before.
Mentioned?
Something we said before.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Something said, a statement of some kind. And did someone else have an idea also? All right. So it's something we said before or maybe a reference. Any other vocabulary questions from the last few paragraphs?
Great deal.
Deal?
Great deal.
Ah, a great deal.
In the before my read, said they had a great deal of stress then.
Yeah, they had. Okay. Let me find it. Anyone have a possible definition for a great deal? There it is. What is a great deal of stress?
Maybe they had something that their business maybe they have too many business.
Maybe, kind of. But this is kind of an expression that just means a lot. It's another phrase for a lot. And you can tell a little bit by the context here. So it says about a quarter, or 26% of people surveyed, said they had a great deal of stress then. And when we say then, we're talking about the earlier paragraph, health-related problems and other stressful events. So during those stressful events, these people had a lot of stress or a great deal of stress. Very good question. And we have one more paragraph there. Ebby, will you read the last paragraph in what is stressing people out?
Okay. What's stressing people out? The data get particularly interesting when you dig in and look at how the factors vary among different groups of people. Young adults, for instance, felt the most overwhelmed by responsibilities, while older people were most likely to say that personal health problems were stressful.
Thank you very much. So a couple vocabulary words. What is the word very with an A. It's pronounced the same as very with an E, but has a very different meaning.
It means different, like various.
Yeah, exactly. And what about dig in? When you dig in to the data.
Go in deep.
Yeah, like investigate or get deep into this pile of data. Any other vocabulary questions?
Overwhelmed.
Good one. Can anyone give us a definition for the word overwhelmed?
It's like it's difficulty maybe.
Difficulty, sure.
Some difficulties, yes.
That's a part of the definition. What else can we say about the word overwhelmed?
Puzzling maybe.
What?
Puzzling.
Sorry, could you put that word in the chat box?
Okay. Puzzle.
Ah, a puzzle. Yeah, okay, so something complicated, right? Overwhelmed is difficult and it's complicated, and it usually means you have too many things going on. So it's not just one problem, it might be 6 problems, or it's not just something small, but something really big that you just feel that you can't do it. Excellent question. So how do people respond to stress? Now, I'm interested to see Harry's answer on this one. Harry, how do you think people respond to stress?
How do people respond to stress? They feel angry. When they see another person, they judge them very quickly without knowing it, because it goes so fast in your consciousness, and you feel bad about yourself. And when you feel better about yourself, you become a really anxious person.
It affects your relationships for sure.
Yeah.
One point, teacher.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's hard to sleep when we get the response to stress.
It's what?
It's hard to sleep, like Aka said.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It can be hard to sleep, and that makes everything worse. Totally. Ebby, what's another response you might have to stress?
To believe that stress is something temporarily, so it's it's just gonna stay for a short time and then it will go. And to be aware that stress will cause a lot of health problems. So you should try to lower your stress.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Daniel, how do people show that they're stressed? In what ways do they respond?
Okay. In my case, I used to have some blister in my hands, in my palm.
So physically.
When I was studying my degree, I used to have blister in my hand.
Yeah, definitely. Some people really, it makes them sick to experience that amount of stress.
Yes.
Carolina, can you think of any other effects stress has on people?
Yeah, you can feel pain in your shoulders or in your back, or you can have headaches, or you can't sleep well, and you can get angry with the people, and you can have a having bad moods, mood,
Mood, okay.
yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, Carolina. And Adela, can you think of anything else?
I think another symptom of the stress, I think people eat compulsive is, or don't eat is two opposite possibility. Is because it's very anxious, is this upset, insomnia, aggressivity, and is more vulnerable to the disease, I think.
Definitely.
Cholesterol, I think, the stress increase the cholesterol, I think.
Interesting. So a lot of health repercussions here.
Yes.
All right. We have a couple more paragraphs, and I think Harry is the next one to read. Can you read that first paragraph on this page?
Okay. I hope my mic works. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. We were curious about how stress affects people behavior, particularly in areas that can affect health. Among people who said that they'd had a great deal of stress in the previous month, the most common change was sleeping less than usual. After that, eating less and exercising less were the most frequently cited changes.
Thank you very much. And the last one, Shafar.
But there are a few people, believe it or not, who may be missing out on the positive and negative of stress. About 1 in 7 Americans said they hadn't had any stress at all in the past month. How is that possible? Well, two-thirds of the unstressed said it was because of their personality. Other factors that helped people relax were steps they had taken to reduce stress and an absence of the stressful event last month.
Excellent. Thank you. So vocabulary questions before we have a little more discussion. All right. Nothing from the whole article?
Absence of stressful, maybe absence. In the
Absence of
last,
stress?
yes.
All right. So absence. Can anyone give us a good definition for the word absence? It's in the last paragraph in the last sentence. What did he say?
Not deceased.
Doesn't exist. Yeah. In this case, it means doesn't exist. What about a class absence? It's a term you frequently hear in class. That student is absent. What does that mean?
Lack.
He
Not
thinks
here.
in another. He thinks in another things.
Okay, yeah. Absent-minded is another really common way to use it. So if you're absent-minded, it means your brain is off daydreaming or something. You're not really there thinking. And if a student is absent in class, it means the student hasn't come to class or didn't show up. All right. Any other vocabulary questions? Excellent. So the last paragraph is a little interesting, and it relates to something that Adela said earlier. It says that there are some people who are missing out on the positives and negatives of stress. So what are the positives of stress? Because we've talked a lot about the negatives of stress. It affects you poorly sometimes. It's an uncomfortable feeling. But are there any positives?
In my opinion, there is no one thing about stress which can be possible. No one, not 1%, not a half, not one, nothing. Stress is always painful because when you are under stress, you can't work clearly. But under stress, you do not your work on a good way. My experience is that when I feel stress, I do nothing with my heart, with love. Stress is always against love. I noticed it myself. It's always against love. Stress is always. I won't accept the situation. I won't accept the present, which I'm right now have in my situation. And when I won't accept my present, I produce stress myself.
Very interesting.
But for example, if a thief assault you in your home or in the street, this is a stress situation. The body need to react with this stress. You cannot relax it in this moment. This is a defense mechanism.
No, I don't agree with
you.
it.
It's same the stress.
No, because you can choose stress. Do I choose stress to handle a situation? Maybe there is a car accident and I can now change because I'm thinking, not stress is thinking. My mind is thinking. In my mind I have to learn, can I choose stress? Then I become anxious, and under anxious, when I feel anxiety, I make many mistakes in the situation. But I say, oh, right now I accept the present, how it happens, and I choose love. And when you choose love, you can say, oh, I have to carefully find out what can I do in this situation, but I don't punish myself in this situation when I make mistakes. But when you handle under stress, you make things wrong, and after that you said, oh, I was under stress, I had could this made, you give all things, you judge all things. But when you are in a when you say, oh, I don't want to feel stress, I do it with love, it becomes much easier.
It's not a thinking mechanism. Is instinctive. Is don't thinking. Is the body react in front a difficult situation.
No, but
but is the system nervous is in
but
your
why,
biology.
I agree
but
with
why
you.
does but why does the body react this way? Because you are thinking. A very good sentence which I learned the first time is, what you thinking, your body is doing. That means when you think it, when you feel when you feel bad about yourself, when you are anxious, how can you feel it? You can feel it in your stomach. You become really you feel bad in your stomach. You feel bad in your legs, because you thought it. And if what you are thinking, your body does it, because your body is your power, not your body. And I learned it that you can control your body and not the body is controlling you, because when the body is controlling you, you are lost. And that's what I'm learning. But I know it's really hard to understand. It's really hard to learn it, because
Thank you guys so much. I love when we have productive debate in class. And I would urge you guys to continue. Write something down. If you have more to say, put it in the chat box. That way everyone can see it and we'll discuss it a little more. And in the meantime, Shafar, would you like to give us a few more words? Give us your ideas on this topic?
I think stress. We don't have to blame the stress. I think that stress is the way our body reacts. But I think it would be work if we just it will make our brain become smart how to handle the stress. But if the stress never came, never show up, so we don't have to we don't have the problem, we don't have something to resolve. So like if my car was get hurt or broke, maybe I will feel so stressed out. So if I stress out, maybe my brain will react. How can I solve problem? How can I make it my car clear again? So I think that's kind of my opinion about stress. Stress will be beneficial for me for if I control them and not just relax my body. I think relax will be not to benefit if I don't doing wisely about this thing. Yeah, that's it, Chica.
All right. Thanks, Shafar. And Daniel, what are your thoughts on the topic?
Oof.
It's difficult.
Yes, all of us thinking distinct ways to manage the stress.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Adela. It's something biological. Your body reactive reactive maybe getting your stress awake and maybe hurry things you can manage all your stress. It depends of he comes from an accident or and you're worried about an exam.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Adela.
All right. So, before we go on to anything else, there are a few words that I want to discuss the differences between, and they are stressed, stressed out, and stressful. So, they're all words that we've used in this conversation, but a couple times they've been slightly misused. So, what's the difference between stressed and stressed out, first of all? Does anybody know?
Stress is a noun and stress out it's a verb.
So stress is the noun. Stressed with an ed at the end is an adjective. And stressed out would also be a description, like an adjective. But the slight difference between stressed and stressed out is just really formality. Stressed could be something that you see in any place, but stressed out is slightly less formal. So it's pretty much the same thing, but just a little bit less formal. And also stress you might see used in different ways. Like we've been talking about in class, sometimes we can use stress to refer to the negative emotional feeling, and other times we refer to stress in a scientific way, like anything that causes action. So it can be used in a more general or a very specific way, whereas stressed out always means that negative emotional reaction. And then stressful is different than those two. Do you guys know how stressful is different?
It's a situation we cause stressed.
Yeah, so stress, something that is stressful is causing stress. And someone who is stressed or stressed out is feeling stress. So it's important to make the difference between those two words. And we don't have much time left today, unfortunately. But one thing I was kind of curious about is if you guys think that the country or culture you live in would have some kind of effect on stress. So are some countries more relaxed than others, and which ones? I don't think we'll have time for a full response on that today, but there's a graph I'd like you guys to see in the original article. So this is the original article, and this article is about Americans specifically. So I want to know, do you guys think that this is more or less a universal topic, that all the same things stress us out, or if it maybe makes a difference where you live? Americans get stressed out by illness and disease, death of a loved one, problems with work, life changes or transitions, family events or issues, and problems with personal relationships. So does anyone have an opinion that they can give us really quickly before we finish up? Let's see. I haven't heard much from Daniel. So Daniel, tell us, do you think it depends on the country you live in?
Yeah, it depends on your way to think. Maybe American people likes work too much for me. All day thinking about work.
Okay.
It was
cultural then.
It could be the stress in America. A lot of work, all day thinking about it.
Thank you very much, Daniel. And Rafael, we're just ending the class. I'm sorry. If you'd like to watch this class on my history, you'll be able to see the discussions we had, and of course, open up the article. If you have any questions on it, just let me know on Facebook or on Verbling. I can answer any questions you have, or just say hi and we can exchange some messages. Thank you guys so much for coming, and I hope to see you guys again soon.
Thank you, teacher. Bye.
Bye. Sorry, Rafael.
Bye bye.